It's the weekly show for opinionated views and gorgeous headlines.
It's the Joe Show.
It's the Joe Show! With me, Joe. You know, on Wednesdays we open up windows and find out what's going on in the world. Let's see where we're going first. First window we got here is in Paris, Kentucky. Didn't even know there was a Paris, Kentucky. I wonder if there is an Eiffel Tower in Paris, Kentucky. Who knows? We got a nice backyard, super green, lots of trees. Looks like a backyard of Kentucky. I can't tell if that's a fence or some sort of skateboarding pipe. Not sure, but let's hop into our first headline here. The Justice Department has filed its antitrust lawsuit against Google. It's finally happened. As we know, a couple weeks ago, the U.S. government held 4 actors accountable for potential antitrust violations. Google, Facebook, oh my god, brain fart. Google, Facebook, Apple, and Amazon. I don't know how I forgot those last two. But yeah, Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon. Right-wing conservatives turned it into a nonsense debate about if conservative voices were being censored on these platforms. Spoiler alert, they're not. As an example, Ben Shapiro, famous right-wing activist, is the most followed and tweeted and whatever top trending thing on Facebook month over month. Really hard to say that you're being suppressed when your buddy Ben Shapiro and the conservative voices are at the top of the trending on Facebook. So Facebook can go screw, and so can the Republicans. There was no anti-Republican censorship nonsense BS. Anyways, getting back into the Justice Department, doing its due diligence and filing a case against Google. People have been rumored that this is long time coming, so this should be no surprise to anybody, as I guess it should have happened years ago. But here we are, the Justice Department has finally issued its antitrust lawsuit against Google. It seeks to restrain Google and to seek remedies for the effects of the company's conduct so far. The suit alleges that Google has a monopoly over the search market in the United States. 11 states have signed on to the suit alongside the DOJ. It will be the first significant legal challenge that Google has faced as from U.S. regulators. Google claims that people use their services because they choose to, not because they are forced to, as sure there are alternatives. However, there's a bunch of squirrels roaming around in this backyard, and I think there was a bird that flew directly at the camera. They're clearly not a fan of Google's monopolistic properties. I remember hearing in the antitrust lawsuit, or the antitrust hearings, that 60% of Google's searches led the user back to a Google product. That is an incredible leverage of your power, and really, Google does hold a monopoly. Like, we joke that DuckDuckGo and Bing are alternatives, but who actually uses them? I have used DuckDuckGo in the past as it's part of some private secure browsers like the Tor browser. However, it never returns the results that Google does. And additionally, Google has some advanced search operators which you can use to, quote, dork Google and find pretty much anything that you're looking for. Almost. There are some caveats to that, but you can find a lot of stuff that people don't want you to find through some dorking. I'm actually writing an ebook about it now currently because I've used it so heavily in research for competition, for market validation, and for my startups that I've become a little bit of an expert on dorking. Let's leave these squirrels behind and hop over to somewhere else. Google, gotta say, good luck in this antitrust lawsuit, but also, you had it coming. At least Google and YouTube should be split up into 2 separate search engines. Google can't monopolize both of them. Now here we go, we've opened up another window. We're in Buenos Aires, Argentina. We've got a nice brown tan building right in the front here. We can see the ocean in the background, and then we've got these buildings that look very modern with a bunch of glass. Maybe they're apartment buildings, maybe they're office buildings, who knows. But it looks like a gorgeous day over in Argentina whenever this was filmed. Yeah, super nice. Next headline here gets me excited because we did have companies at one point in the alternative meat space, and there's been a lot of talk around using plants for not just meat alternatives, but for other things as well. And so Impossible Foods, famous for their Impossible Burger, is now developing a plant-based alternative to cow's milk to try to replace cow's milk. Now, This is a very, very, very dense and crowded field. We've got oat milk, which is the new player on the block. A lot of people finally moved over to oat milk, even though it's been around for a number of years. The brand that really popularized it is Oatly. They have an awesome story if you want to check it out about how they switched up their entire marketing department and campaign for their modern push here, and how it vaulted them into viral success. And then we've got almond milk, which was kind of really popular right before oat milk took off. But almonds are very expensive. Nuts in general are very expensive, and they can only be grown in certain climates. Before that, we had coconut milk bloom, which is also delicious. The problem with the coconut milk is that it tastes a lot like coconut. And it's also very thin, unless you add some, like, oh my god, what do we call it? Damn it, I can't remember the word for it. Not polymerization. That's Yu-Gi-Oh! Blue Eyes White Dragon. You merge those three together, you get Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Not polymerization. They are not polyphosphates. Polyamorous. Nope. Man, I can't remember what they are. But you add them to milk, and they're like thickening agents. God, my brain is just forgetting that word. So that was coconut milk, almond milk, oat milk, and then before that, the big kind of first competitor, throwing that 1-2 punch towards milk, was soy milk. Got them soy boys all excited. No, that's something else. But yeah, soy milk. But the problem with soy is that a lot of people just don't like the taste of it. And they use a lot of additives and antibiotics to grow the soy. So finally, Impossible Foods here making an alternative to cow's milk. Let's see here. What does it say? Current milk alternatives just aren't the same. So Impossible Foods is now working on a food replacement that looks, tastes, and behaves like cow's milk. Now, again, this is very difficult. No one's been able to quite replicate cow's milk before. There is another company called Perfect Day over in Silicon Valley, I think, in California, that has been working on this problem, and they made a nice alternative, which they have been using for ice cream. Perfect Day ice cream brand. I believe you can look it up. I think that's how they got their first start, but their overall goal was to replace milk completely or do lab-grown cow's milk. The Impossible Investigator Project aims to recruit leading scientists to contribute to the cause. Impossible Foods milk is made with stable proteins sourced from plants. It properly mixes with other liquids and can be whipped into a foam. That's very important for cappuccinos and lattes. Now, that's a huge market for milk products is coffee shops. So if they can get it to foam properly, that's a huge win for them because everyone wants the perfect foam for their cappuccino. There is no timeline for when the milk substitute will be ready to leave in the Impossible Foods lab, but they do have competition from Perfect Day, as I just mentioned. Also, if you do want a good milk alternative, pea milk is kind of becoming popular now. I was going to say again, but not again. It's becoming popular. Pea milk, there's a brand in the U.S. that I can't remember what the name is, but they have the best pea milk. It comes in almost like a vase-looking container. And it tasted very similar to milk in my opinion, although I wasn't drinking normal milk alongside of it. It just felt like actual milk. So I feel like Impossible Foods will probably incorporate peas in some way into this milk, but I'm very curious about it. I'm not a milk drinker myself. I try to use milk alternatives, and so Big Milk wants you to drink more milk, but screw that, go with the alternative that's plant-based. Thanks to Argentina for that great update on milk. Maybe you have some of the happiest cows in the world, but we just don't know it through this window. Let's find a new place. We got Goldsburn, Australia. Look at this gorgeous day. I can't tell if this is sunrise or sunset, but this is clearly a farm in Australia. We got them horses. I'm surprised that we have horses here, not them kangaroos. The roos be jumping all over the farm. That was not a good Australian accent at all. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie. But yeah, this is an actual gorgeous window. This is probably one of my favorite windows that we've ever had. Just absolutely, yeah, great. Helen, nice window. What a view to wake up to. Got to get them horses. Oh shoot, we had a yawn. Oh, I have been trying to suppress that for a while now because I didn't want to yawn. I didn't want to mow the lawn, have a yawn on the show, but couldn't stop it. We've got a, let's see here. Ah, yes. Flippy, the burger flipping robot. If you haven't seen it, it is literally a robot arm that has a spatula that can flip burgers and decrease the need for humans on the burger line so they can worry more about other things like taking customer orders or packing completed orders. It comes from a company called Miso Robotics, and it's released its burger flipping robot to the market finally for $30,000 USD with options for a payment plan. Flippy is a robot that attaches to a rail and can move about the kitchen to cook. It can cook 19 items, including burgers and hash browns. We do have a photo here to see how Flippy works. So sorry, Australia, we got to leave for a minute. And we got to head over to Business Insider for the Flippy pictures here. All right, so this is great. This is actually a lot of pictures, way more than I was expecting. This is Flippy's kitchen here, we can see. So here's the robot actually cleaning the grease off of the grill. You can see here it's a robot arm with some an attachment on the end. I believe it can detach this one and reattach the spatula so it can clean and do stuff. They've been working on this for, I think, like 4 years now. Can also gain the ability to fry stuff. So you can see here, the robot does have plastic coating on it, or some sort of latex coating to protect it from the grease and also to keep it hygienic. You can see here it goes on a rail it goes into the fry system and kind of moves it around like a normal person would. I wonder how much it actually costs to install the rail system, or if that comes with, or if that's included in the $30,000. Pretty cool though. And we can see here actually a different version where Flippy attaches from the top. It also seems like there are some sort of QR codes here or barcode scanners for Flippy to read so that it can either attach to it or it can see what this machine actually does, if it's the fryer or whatever. You can also see a bunch of symbols along the back. I'm sure that Flippy is using that for different commands. Like over here, do this, over there, do that. We actually have a food robot that we are working in that does not require that sort of object placement, as it has cool things like computer vision and algorithmic movement. So we can just tell it to go to a certain point and it understands what's there and how to get there, which is pretty cool. And then here we can see a weird illustration, because clearly this is a mock-up of a guy in a 3D modeling program of what they're aiming for here. Completely replacing the person. We just have a salmonier. And then apparently it held contracts already with Dodger Stadium, Cali Burger, and White Castle. In 2019, Flippy served more than 15,000 burgers and over 31,000 pounds of chicken tenders and tots. It's pretty rad. So that's Flippy. Look at him go. She looks super happy to be replaced by a robot, doesn't she? Cool. Let's go back to Australia. If you're interested, you can get your Flippy for $30,000. Head over to their robot, or you can wait for our much cooler all-in-one kiosk system that can cook, clean, and program for different food outside of burgers and fried stuff. It can actually cook food, not just fry and flip stuff. Australia, I hate to leave you, but we gotta move on here. Open up a new window. Where else are we going? We got Mumbai, India on a very artistic looking window here with, it looks like a spider web. Almost feels like I'm behind bars. This doesn't feel like a window. We do have a nice little lake or river out front there, which is cool, but it doesn't feel very India to me. So we're going to open up somewhere else so we can get a better view here. Havana, Cuba. Cubano. Culo. So we got Cuba here. Nice sunny day. Looks like we got some people talking. It looks like they have masks too, so this must be a pretty recent window or even a live window. This is pretty rad though. I wish we could have like a view of a Cuban restaurant. I don't know, I feel like Cuban restaurants are upbeat and fun. But that's Cuba. Looks like a nice day outside over there in Havana, Cuba. What else do we got here? Meet Face ID and Touch ID for the web. It's a 14-minute read, so we're not going to touch on that. Not at all. Forget the AR glasses. Augmented reality is headed to your windshield. No, that is... Why did they say forget AR glasses? Augmented reality is headed to your windshield. That's more like a complementary thing than a replacement thing. So, no, don't forget about AR glasses. Headline, keep AR glasses in mind. Augmented reality AR is definitely coming, or mixed reality, whatever you want to call it. Now on that note, actually, I'd read a story earlier today that Snapchat recently unveiled their third quarter profits, and it was way higher than expected thanks to the pandemic. I think Snapchat is a really good investment. They're really positioning themselves as a camera company or the new Kodak and not necessarily a social media network competing with Facebook and Instagram, though that might also be a stealth play to kind of under the radar be a social media network. But regardless, their innovation has been awesome, and I really do think they're going to be at the forefront of the augmented reality revolution that is coming very soon. Ooh, here's an interesting sounding article. How Egypt is growing forests in the middle of the desert. Wish we had Egypt for this window, but we don't. The Serapeum Forest is a 200-hectare forest that was planted in northeast Egypt as a part of a project to support Egypt's economy and fight environmental and climate changes. Egypt used treated wastewater to plant the trees in the desert. The Serapeum Forest project started in 1998, and in 2019, 21 African countries, including Egypt, created the Great Green Wall, a tree planting project. The Great Green Wall will extend over 100 million hectares and cost around $8 billion. It is expected to provide many benefits to the continent, including more jobs, lower temperatures, cleaner air, increased soil quality, and more. The Great Green Wall. That sounds awesome. That sounds badass. It almost sounds like some sort of movement or some sort of, I don't know, something. Just got a request. But yeah, the Great Green Wall sounds very cool, or it sounds like something that you'd find in a stadium. I think it actually might be something you find in one of the baseball stadiums. But on that note of planting trees and wood, I also read today about a company that is making new wooden credit cards, which is pretty interesting, or debit cards. So instead of the plastic thing, you'd get a wooden card. And I actually think that is really cool. And they had a picture of it. It looked just like you would imagine a wooden credit card. Not any different than you would expect a wooden credit card to look like. But 80% of the profits that they make from the wooden debit cards, because every time you use it, you actually get charged. I don't know if you know that, but fun fact, every time you use your debit card, the business gets charged, and that's how these debit card companies make their money. And 80% of the profits they're going to use to replant and recycle, which I think is very, very smart and very cool. I can't find the article. I don't remember what company it is, but everyone's trying to move on to more green and sustainable methods, and that was this company's way of doing it. I think it's really cool. Let's see here. Moving on from that, let's move on to a new window here. Brownwood, California. Oh, we got this is an action shot of garden or of a field. I'm not really sure what exactly it is, but this is like a handheld window camera. So we got, okay, yes, very cool, bud. This is not what we wanted to do, Vic. Itewan, South Korea. Oh, wow. We got a sunset view here in South Korea, or maybe a sunrise view. This is new. I haven't seen windows that have like different sorts of sunset or sunrise, different times of the day. So far, it's all been either sunny or just overcast. So this is really cool over in Itewan. And we got this big tower over here. What a gorgeous view here. Yeah, this is incredible. I do wonder if this is live or if this is just like a pre-recorded thing. I'm really not sure at all. But we'll read one more headline here, and then we'll end it. I think this one is really interesting because I actually have sort of an opinion on it. Zoom is releasing a new tool to let paid users charge for admission to online events like conferences or fitness classes. Zoom is Zoom's new online event hosting platform. Hosts can organize free and paid events on Zoom with PayPal integration for ticket sales. It will only be available to paid subscribers at US launch. There are no additional fees for paid users to use on Zoom, but Zoom may take a cut of ticket sales next year. A new feature called Zap allows Zoom users to open up apps like Dropbox, Slack, and Asana directly inside a Zoom meeting. Zoom is also focusing on integrating online education tools. So this is a really interesting move by Zoom for two reasons. The first one is that it is empowering to make people money through Zoom. So you can use Zoom as a platform to host these conferences or these live events, and then charge ticket prices right through Zoom, and then Zoom gets a cut of it. But whenever a platform starts to enable people to be kind of content creators, like Zoom is doing with this move, and get paid for it, I really like that in an app because it's empowering people to make business. And when business happens, the business that empowers the business makes money. So I think Zoom is making a very interesting move with On Zoom. If they're able to get it working and if people actually use it is a whole nother thing. But I think it's a very, very cool move from Zoom, and I expect them to actually get a bump in their stock price from this. And I actually expect to see more things moving in this direction for live, on-demand, streaming video classes and workshops and content. And then Zap is their second thing that I wanted to touch on. Now they're empowering other businesses to make money on Zoom through their platform, because I think in the third quarter of 2020 here, Zoom has put out some figures, or the second quarter they put out some figures, and they gained 4,300% increase in users because of the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously accelerating that forward. But now that you can have a Zoom meeting and open up things like Dropbox and Slack and increase your productivity in the meeting to not just have video chat and then have to have something separate open like Microsoft Teams, it's very interesting. So now they're competing against Microsoft Teams as a platform for event running and for team management, as Asana, for example, is a project management software, so you can manage your projects. You can have your Slack and Dropbox right inside of Zoom, and then you can have your live meetings, and it's all supposed to be seamless. How secure the data is and how safe it is, I don't know. How well it runs, I don't know either. But between On Zoom and the Zaps, I think Zoom is really capitalizing on their pandemic and the remote working move that has happened because of it. Especially as big tech companies like I think Microsoft, Facebook, other ones have said that, or Airbnb, that their employees can work at home remotely forever from now on if they want to. Some of them have said they're going totally 100% remote, which is a crazy move. So Zoom is going to be getting a huge bump in use just from that alone, as well as more businesses kind of follow in the ripple effect of these big tech companies making this change. That's been today's Window Wandering Wednesday. I hope you learned something new about what's going on there in the world. I hope my opinion influenced you in some way, shape, or form. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button and mash that bell to get a notification every time I upload a new video. And until next time, wander somewhere cool, because I love you.